Hi there, and welcome to my basic rail guide for Factory Town. I'm Icon, and in this video, I'm going to explain how to set up a basic transportation loop for your wares. I'm going to also explain how to place down rails. I'm going to explain how loaders and unloaders work, and I'm going to give a couple of tips in between how this whole system in the game works. I also put down timestamps in the description box, so if you're looking for a particular topic, check it out there. What I'm not going to cover in this video is the usage of logistical and computational blocks, because these would go into an advanced tutorial. Okay, so this tutorial will cover how we're going to transport the stones out of this mine from one barn to the other so they can be transformed into cut stones. So that's going to be what this is all about. Now, let's get started with the first topic, and that's rail placement. The rail placement in this game is a tad bit finicky, so I wanted to explain it first. In the paths menu, you'll find your rails. I'm going to work in this tutorial with metal rails only. Wooden rails are a lot slower. Mechanical rails, they are a little bit special because they need power. And magical rails, well, I thought metal rails are the best average material to work here. So in case you didn't know, everything here can be just dragged and dropped into your hotbar, so that's way to go. So let's start out with the metal rails. So we're selecting them, and just like every other element in this game, you can drag and drop them. If you go around the corner, it goes around the corner as well. So that's pretty basic. So if we want to build a circle, I'd be going like that. And if you go for the circle now like this, you will notice that these didn't connect. Now, there's two things you can do now. Either you press Q to pick up a new piece of rail while your cursor is above it, and just press R to rotate it, and then you end up with this little piece here. So this will work. I mean, we can put down a little minecart there so you can see. He will take that curve. It's just an optical thing. If that bothers you, press X to remove the layer. Press Q again to grab a new piece of rail and connect that. Easy like that. So the gist of it, and the real important part while you're doing rail placement, is as follows. You'd need to go on the cursor with the rail and drag and drop before you want to go into the curve. Always go onto the rail one tile before you want to go into the curve. Otherwise, you will end up with something that just doesn't connect. But that's pretty much it. I mean, there's really not much more to say about that. You can, of course, build bridges with your rails, just like with every other material, with every other road here. But that's about it. There's really not much more to know. I built that in a loop because of a really simple reason, because now we're going to explain the basic loop. The basic loop between one provider and one delivery point, let's call it like that. So to get the ball rolling here, we're just going to pick up the metal rail here. And as you can see here already, when I get close to that, there's green and red arrows here all around. We're going to cover them up later. So we're now going to build a circle between these two barns because I want to transport the stone from this one to that one. So we're going to pick up the rail here. And now let's drag and drop that over here. And as you can see here, there's already a loader spawned. And now we're going to put up just like that. And like that. And like that. And as you can see here already, these loaders already spawned automatically. So we got here now a rail loader and a rail unloader. These are working just like you would assume. This one is loading stuff into your rail cart, into your mine cart, and this one is unloading the mine cart. So it passes by, and as you see here, now the inventory is full with 50 stone. Rolls downhill here, and well, we'll have to empty the storage a bit. And as you see here, automatically unloads. So this is a extremely fast way of transporting your goods from one way to another. So we're now able to transport the stone into the stonemason's shop. That's that. So this is also how you build up your basic loop. But if you'd assume that these wouldn't be spawning automatically, you'd be finding them here in the railroad control system. So let's talk a moment about loaders and unloaders in general. So these are your basic tools that you can use. As you see here, there are rail loaders, minecart loaders, and train loaders. So these are all a little bit different, and you will only need to use either the automatic rail loaders and unloaders. The difference between those is pretty simple. The rail loader doesn't care whether or not there's a minecart, a rail cart, or a train passing by, whereas these are very, very specific in regards of what they will work with. So we're going to use now a minecart loader here for this one. And you know what? This minecart's inventory must be deleted, so we can't see that. So we place that down here, and the minecart unloader. Keep in mind that the arrows with the loader must point onto the rail where you want to put stuff into, and the unloaders must point into the direction of the receiver. I mean, it does make sense. So you see, we now worked with the same system with a minecart unloader instead of a rail unloader. These are really just there to specify exactly what's going to be used there. But you can also do another thing, and that's pretty neat. We're going to let our little cart here run that way. And let's just say we're going to put up that stonemason here. And instead of putting these into the barn, we're going to put these into the stonemason directly. Why not? We're going to delete now these unloaders because they were automatically spawned because we snuck a railway right across the barn. So let's check out the stonemason's inventory here. And there we go. It automatically receives materials from the railway. And that's only one idea that I want to give you on the way, what you can do with loaders and unloaders and basic loops, because that's, well, just the start of it. Of course, you can build more intricate networks. You can also build across, and there's barrier gates, and you can also configure these loaders to give them exact orders, what kind of items they should load. This is one really useful thing in my opinion. And yeah, you can go for very, very intricate things, but you can also go for very basic things. So let's get into the last section here, and that's the infos and tips thing. So a couple of things that I wanted to demonstrate here. So here I set up a minecart that has to work with height problematics. But as you see here, the minecart really doesn't care about the mountains. That's one thing that I wanted to showcase. So unlike chutes, you're not going to need anything to transport them. Also here I did one bad thing, so this is not how it works. You have to loop these things, otherwise it won't work. The other thing that I found very interesting was to check out what a minecart can actually load. As you see here, there's this category called loose bulk. Loose bulk is everything that can be also transported in a chute. So these are the items that are exclusive for the transportation with minecarts. So you will want to know this, because basically this means that you will use the minecarts mostly to transport raw materials, not the more the processed materials. Of course, there are other methods here. So you can see here the steam locomotive works completely differently there. So it's way faster. It also needs fuel, and these are things that I wanted to just introduce vaguely, that this is by far not the end. This is just the very basics. When you want to go deeper, you'll have to set up a locomotive, And then you can also go for fuel loaders. This will work the same as we had it before here. So a fuel loader will have to be in the vicinity of the railways, and we'll have to put the fuel there right next to that. Otherwise, it won't work like that. And you see, these need water and burning stuff, but here's one thing that I wanted to showcase here. You don't need materials for the locomotive. Cool thing about the locomotive here is that you can just add mine carts and then it'll work like that. So let's move that dude off the rail. And as you can see here, it's working out just decently. So let's see, can I create something in... Well, I can't spawn materials directly, but you get the idea. We'd just need water and fuel here in the vicinity there to provide that locomotive with new fuel. I'm pretty sure by now you get the idea. But with a locomotive, you can just transport several minecarts at once. And that's what I wanted to showcase here. Beyond that, your own creativity is your limit. I didn't want to go too deep here and didn't want to bloat up the video too much. I hope that was helpful for you. Feel free to drop me a comment down below and tell me if you have something on your mind where you felt like, come on, dude, you should have mentioned that. Because, you know, it's easy to miss information in such a deep game. And also leave a thumbs up on that video if you found it helpful, because that makes it easier visible for everybody else. And of course, check out my channel. There's daily videos coming up there. All you'd need to do is to hit that notification button after subscribing. Beyond that, if you're really interested, in the description box you'll also find my Twitch channel where I do regular streams and my Discord community where you will find like-minded gamers. Last but not least, there's also links for direct support of my stream and video project here. I'd be delighted if you check them out, but don't you worry if you don't. Watching this video until this very point is already a very, very kind gesture, and I appreciate that. Hope you will have a nice day and see you soon. Goodbye.